Okay.
Hold up, plate.
All right.
Hang on, guys. This is big. It's Snake Plissken. I brought him here to see you, Hershey. He's got a little business proposition.
What's in it for me?
Oh, why
In
don't...
a minute. I know that voice. Yeah. You're Carjack Malone.
Not anymore.
Are you to know each other?
Oh, more things change, more they stay the same, huh, Carjack? Glad to see you're still packing my gun between your legs.
Hold on, honey.
You owe me. Bolted on me back in Cleveland.
Hershey, you were in Cleveland?
Oh, yeah. With me in Texas, Mike O'Shea, except you looked a little different in those days, Carjack.
You get one thing straight, Pliskin. I'm no longer Carjack Malone. Appreciate us promised the most drop-dead to die for a number of years. Only that one eye.
I don't give a fuck what you are. I want to know what the hell happened to you in
I was
Cleveland.
called away on urgent business. I got caught. You didn't.
Don't lie to me.
All right, so I made another deal. I got my ass kicked, not you. I've been in here 5 years, not you.
A new deal for you. You help me, you live.
Oh, I wouldn't do that, Snake. You see, we all have an agreement. Anything happens to me, and you're dead.
I'm already dead.
I see your point. What's the deal?
You need a Cuervo Jones. I got 1 hour.
A dream on blue eye.
Say goodnight, Carjack.
Oh, hold on. Cuervo Jones has more firepower than 2 armies. No one gets near him.
And he's got the black box and the girl. He's running the show.
What black box?
The one that shuts down the power permanently.
Oh, yeah, right. And the Plutoxin 7 virus is gonna kill you in less than 10 hours. Oh.
What?
It's bullshit, baby. Rumor control, government propaganda. Just one more lie.
Snake's telling the truth, Hershey. I used to represent the guy who invented it. Swear to God, Snake.
Hey. What's the deal? Gorgeous.
We get the girl in the black box and we get out of here.
All of us?
Yeah.
Me too.
Why should we leave? I love L.A. Where we gonna go? What's the big payoff?
President's promised to give whoever helps me $1 million.
Oh, yeah, 1 million greenbacks. I got 10 million of them in the next room.
Bluebacks.
Oh, come on, Snake.
Bluebacks. Swear to God, Eddie. This is bigger than Cleveland.
You sounds thin to me.
You want to stay here while Cuervo Jones rules the world?
Hell no, that sucks. So how are we gonna get out?
I'll tell you that when we get there.
Oh, Pliskin, man, you are such a loser, man. Making up shit along the way. That's why I left your ass in Cleveland. You just a chump, just like the rest of us. No deal.
Government chopper. It'll be there.
Okay, that's better. So how are we getting there under an hour?
That's your end.
All right, everybody,
Yeah.
welcome to the Gospel of Comics.
That's a clip from the Ironheart prequel series, Escape from New York. That was
No,
supposed to
that's
be
Escape from LA.
No, I was gonna say the Escape from LA, New York series, but that was Escape from LA, set in the dystopian future of 1998.
Oh no, that one was in 2015. But
Was it
yeah,
2015? Yeah, but still.
welcome to the show, everybody. We're joining in on the dog pile on the Ironheart show because it has set new standards for being bad. It is a classic example of the meme. Our expectations were low, but holy fuck!
Hey, let's cut them some slack. Ironheart is bad, but you know what? It's not so bad as it's not Snow White bad.
Bro, that opening bit where the security's walking her out of the school, she's in orange.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about this first, and I want to talk about the music of this TV show because I knew in my gut of guts that the music was very superficial.
Yeah, I mean it was fine. I mean, the Alanis Morissette scene that was actually kind of entertaining.
No. What I'm talking about is like the music that's supposed to be, part of Chicago, establish its connections to its setting.
Yeah, it was actually fine. The only one that was really horrendous was when they went to that live concert.
Yeah.
That was bad. That was really bad. but like the background kind of just like setting music, that was fine. I mean, it was nothing special, but that's
what I mean. It was all very superficial. There wasn't anything that really establishes or nails anything down.
yeah. I mean that is kind of what the music scene is in pretty much all of the large cities in America at the moment. That's or the quote unquote indie music scene. I'm gonna put that in quotes. But that's probably why it sounded so generic to you, is because there's no like regional music scenes anymore because of the internet and everything being so connected.
Right, but I mean, you get why there should feel like, for this sort of a Chicago story, there should be music that feels like Chicago.
I think what Larry's getting at is that if we compare Ironheart to its closest neighbor, which is the Luke Cage show, right?
Yeah.
They exert some effort to make you feel that you're walking in Harlem, that you're dealing with the Harlem Renaissance and its aftermath. They do very little to make this Chicago any different than a specifically diverse region of Southern LA.
Or,
yeah,
I
think it's
Batman's Gotham City.
Yeah, but my point is, I think the problem isn't so much the choice of music; it's just the fact, or like the choice of the production team. I think it's more the fact that there is no in 2025 there is no Chicago sound like there was, like what like what most people our age and older think of as Chicago music, that doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So they did what they could. I'm not saying they did good, but I wouldn't blame that entirely on the production team. I would blame that more in a broader sense on just the trajectory of just art in general that society has been going in the past like 20 years. That's all.
So I want to start off first by talking about the production and development history. So this show was announced all the way back in December of 2020 at the Disney Investors Day, and this was basically, they'd already cast her for Black Panther, and they knew that they were going to
the greatest Marvel movie ever made.
I mean, Black Panther 2 Marvel Comics Race War, as we lovingly call it here.
Yes.
So they then brought in a lead showrunner / writer who goes by the name of Chanika Hodge. Now, Chanika Hodge has never done TV before this. She's done plays and she's done poetry. Her filmography is, she worked on deaf poetry. She worked on a movie called Kill a Hipster, which looks like it's a music video. Another music video, Exquisite Corpse. She wrote something for a 2020 Amazing Stories show. She wrote something for the Snowpiercer TV show. She wrote something for the Midnight Club, which I have no idea what that even is. And then she was the head writer and showrunner for Ironheart. So she has a very thin portfolio of writing and all that, but she was picked to be the head person for this whole deal. And she has a youth poetry nonprofit that she runs. The actress who played Riri Williams did not audition. She was just picked because of her work. Anthony Robbins, the actor who played Parker Robbins, aka The Hood, he was selected right away on 2022. So 2 years later. So they had almost 2 years bubbling up and trying to develop something. Then they hired all of the diverse Black people and brown people and gay people who are going to be stealing from people. Also in later 2022. And then they brought in Sacha Baron Cohen to be Mephisto, which we haven't really seen.
So that's why you said the devil's
Yes.
Jewish. Okay,
Yes.
because I was sitting here, I was like, am I missing episodes? Because I only have 3 here.
No, three is what they're dumping, and then they're dumping another 3 next week.
I haven't seen a Jewish devil yet.
They're dumping.
I've seen them in the past, just not in the show yet.
Yeah. And they did their filming. Filming was wrapped in November of 22, and then they did a whole bunch of reshoots and extra filming in 24. And this was what they did, editing all the stuff together. Post-production was restarted in March and then May of 24. Then May of 25 is when they first released the teaser trailer. And then they did a little teeny tiny bit of marketing to get the current show ready. And that was the production history behind this show. Now, the rumors were that Riri Williams was created as a comic book character explicitly to be brought into the MCU.
I thought she was based off of that porn parody of Iron Man.
No, she was not.
We're not that lucky.
That's my head. That's my headcanon. That's what I'm going with.
I mean, if that's true, then they have utterly failed because the actress they picked is not visually appealing.
No, and the actress in the porn parody, I'm pretty sure is Asian. I did my due diligence. I did watch that one as well.
Now, her previous work included a film directed by Barry Jenkins, who did a movie called Moonlight. But he did If Beale Street Could Talk. She played Sheila, the tough and protective sister of Thani. She was in Judas and the Black Messiah. She played a member of the Black Panther Party. She didn't really have a very strong thing there. She also has a BFA from Cornell. She's a U.S. presidential scholar in the arts. And to quote Kevin Feige, she did not need to audition. The moment we saw her work, we knew. And to go into the rumors about Riri Williams, it comes from a quote from, let's see here, let me scroll down, from Brian Michael Bendis in 2016. Riri's story came from the conversation about who logically would take up Tony's legacy, but we're also talking about representation, what young fans wanted to see. He also revealed Marvel Studios knew about her very early on. He said certain people upstairs were very interested, and Kevin Feige confirmed that Riri was always on board as a potential character for Phase 4 or 5.
So not Rhodey, not somebody who's already been Iron Man.
Or Rhodey's daughter.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Remember, we're talking about short-sighted decision-making based in following bad decisions of bad decisions. I would bet you money that I don't have that somebody said, well, we can't just have it be Rhodey because they didn't like what we did with the Falcon becoming Captain America. So we have to do different. Not putting together that the reason we didn't like the Falcon being Captain America is because as Captain America, he was a giant douche nozzle. Right?
And they also designed her character's armor initially to look like the MCU version of Iron Man's armor. So that's to kind of set the stage. So, Joe, what were your thoughts about the show?
It's yet again. Here we go again. It is so much of a litany of missed opportunities all the way down, because there is something resembling a show better than the comic in there, but it is so wildly mismanaged, and then they layer it with things that even at a casual glance do not stand, right? Riri says that she's not going to shit talk Stark, but she consistently says, oh, well, I didn't have millions to make my Iron Man suit. Tony didn't have fucking millions to make his Iron Man suit.
I mean,
built it in a cave with scraps.
But you know what? They've actually followed up that meme with in Iron Man 3, he made an advanced set of weapons to beat a terrorist organization from stuff at the hardware store.
Yeah. Because Tony's actually a genius.
I mean, there are lots of problems here, but I want to start off first with almost all the characters are awful. They're just awful. The Hood is good, but he's a bad guy. But the actor who's playing him understands the exact kind of bad guy he needs to play.
Well, he's also not a good depiction of that villain.
Right.
Because the Hood is not an Iron Man villain. The Hood is a Spider-Man villain.
Sure, but he's a good depiction of the character that has been written.
Yeah.
He does well with the material he is given.
Yeah, that's actually one of my biggest complaints about this movie. If they're trying to be all like, representation, yada yada yada, right? What's up, Church? Why have your black female quote unquote superhero knowingly join a criminal organization? Well, why not make it so the Hood comes to her like there's some underground humanitarian thing or something, like, and trick her, do like that kind of storyline, and then she finds out later that they're evil and criminals. Like, why just blatantly say no, we're gonna extort and rob people?
Well, I mean, Riri Williams is a supervillain.
Well, there's that, and it's actually funny because people talking about the Marvel version said this is the origin of a supervillain, something we had said about the comics version of the character independently. But beyond that, the other thing is that there's the implicit statement, not stated, it's implicit, that all of these things are acceptable. It's only your targeting, so you can extort rich people because they wouldn't be rich if they weren't already criminals.
And I don't understand the whole like the tunnel thing.
It's Elon Musk. They're attacking female Elon Musk.
Yes, I know that, but they're saying like building tunnels deep underneath the city to transport cars is damaging low-income neighborhoods. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, they could
like how?
It's you don't care about the well-being of low-income neighborhoods here.
And
that's correct.
Do you love black people?
well, look. Those small businesses that desperately need your business aren't getting it if you just take the express tunnel. You fuck.
Yeah. So let's blow up the expressways too, I guess.
I mean, that is the politics of this show.
I mean,
but
I for one think we should probably glass a lot of things,
but I mean, it's supposed to be an allegory about gentrification.
But it's literally not. It's literally a system to bypass the Hood as quickly as possible. That's the opposite of gentrification.
Right. Well, no. They did this thing in Chicago called redlining, where they basically box in the poor people. That's what they're trying to do, but they don't spend enough time to actually earn that narrative hook in the people's brains. So we have a couple of
it's just nonsensical. It makes literally I was so confused.
There we go.
For that entire part.
My tagline to something more fitting.
so the actor who played the Hood, he did a good job because he had an understandable character with understandable motivations, and he did a good job as an actor.
Wait, are you telling me the Devil's Jewish and the Ku Klux Klan were in this?
Well, no, because he's some kind of Mexican.
I mean, they let them in now. It's just, equal opportunity.
I'm pretty sure Mexicans are more neo-Nazis than white people are these days.
Yeah, all you got to do is hate blacks and Jews now. I mean, they've really
hold
lowered the
standard. Yeah, we got to put up the thing.
We got to put up the banner. We got to put up the banner.
Holy shit, you're Mexican?
But hold up.
Hey, John, if you're around, can we get John Dillard in here to give us his opinion on the Mexican issue, the Mexican problem? I'd like my Latin American friends to educate me.
But let's kind of backtrack here. So the actor who played the Hood, did a good job. The character was well written, and it had good lines, good dialogue. Things made sense for that character. Natalie, for the most part, made sense. Was also a good actor.
I actually disagree with you. I thought she was annoying as fuck.
Oh no, she's that too.
Yes, but I mean, she's an annoying, happy, cheerful teenage girl. That's who she is. That's what she is. That's what she's all about. And it made sense. It made sense. And the kid with the cart. The kid with the cart was the other good character. I'd like to see more of him.
I liked Joe. I thought he was fun.
Joe would have been fine if weren't for the fact that they killed him, and they killed him because he's actually an expensive actor to hire.
In matter of point, he was good because he was an expensive actor to hire. Putting aside some of the other things that we were saying, to go back to something that we mentioned previously, one of the things that is deeply hurting Disney in their stewardship of properties,
and we're using the word stewardship very loosely.
Oh yeah, it's doing a lot of work.
They're basically Denethor.
Yeah. Is their zeal for budget. And I don't mean budget in the sense of, oh, well, they're cutting costs. No. They're wasting money. They're burning money like it's going out of style. But there is a corporate desire for control that is so strong that in the first, they're selecting actors for youth so they can get 10, 20 years of film out of them, which is not necessarily wrong. Like, you can't fault that logic. But consistently across films, they have selected directors and cinematographers who are capable, but they're either budget, they work cheap and they know exactly what they do, but it's not flashy, right? Or they are first and second time directors. As you said, the person they got to do this had only done some pseudo music videos and some stage before, right?
Yep.
This is not that. I had this conversation with someone else. I said, well, you got to take risks. It's like, yeah, you got to take good risks. For some reason, these are not the people you should be giving multi-million-dollar properties to. You don't put an untried newbie in charge of a film that could potentially spiral off into a 6-film franchise.
And you don't put a stage director in charge of a TV show like this. There's a way you can transition somebody with that experience into it and kind of make that sort of, because you have to visualize stuff different when you're a stage director.
Well, we even have evidence, if you go far enough back, of classic directors and stage experts doing really phenomenal things with the medium in the black and white era and in the early part of the color era and so on. But the thing is that the guys who were doing that were veterans of their medium. They had 10, 15 years of stage experience. Right?
Right.
If you, well, we use the example. Kenneth Branagh. They've had Kenneth Branagh direct a couple of Marvel films. Every Marvel film Kenneth Branagh directed was pretty solid. Why? Because Kenneth Branagh is a mad Irishman who has directed multiple films. Right? Multiple successful films. And I'm a defender of a film that everyone says is terrible. I like his Frankenstein movie with Robert De Niro. Right? So, but, like, the woman that did Eternals had done maybe 2 movies previously, and they were both small indie bits.
But one of them got an Oscar.
Right, and that suddenly magically makes her qualified to try and sell people on a superhero movie for a group they've never heard of, because nobody knows who the fuck the Eternals are.
I mean, that, and they also based things on, like, the worst run of the Eternals. Also, Eric Andre was there for just a little bit of the first episode, and then they killed him.
Right.
Which was kind of wild.
I want to point out, this guy was on Archer for like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Okay. So clearly, it's not even that he's necessarily expensive. He'll do a job if it's fun.
Yeah. But the actress who played the hacker was on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, you mean Carjack?
Carjack was on RuPaul's Drag Race.
I don't know why he's going by the name Slug now, but you know.
I didn't mind him. I thought he was just campy enough that it was entertaining.
I actually didn't care until they were in the scene in the greenhouse. Okay? You're on a fucking crime spree. You are committing a big boy crime with a break-in and a robbery. And you walk in with your fucking long nails and you're clickety-clacking your way and looking all sexy. Like, no, this is not the time to look sexy. This is the time to be tactical and efficient. Crack the fucking box. Do the fucking hack.
Yeah.
But then again, if they hadn't been more flamboyant, then that wouldn't have juxtaposed the violent, angry lesbian Latinas beating the shit out of people badly in
literally
choreographed fight scenes.
Literally the worst, like fighting, like hand-to-hand fighting I've seen in a movie in a long time.
Yeah, it was bad fight choreography. It was bad shot blocking, set blocking.
So Larry and I had a brief conversation about this because I had to get some of the steam off while I was watching it because oh my god. But one of the things that
did you not see me going off in the group chat?
I did. But as a for instance, one of those things is that in that scene, okay, the angry Latin brigade storms into a room with Knife Man, and they're gonna take control of this chamber, right? And what do? We run right up and we fight the guards. Well, do the guards pull their guns? No, we just punch them, and they punch them so fast that they get into a fisticuffs because they don't have guns, apparently. Which is A, not how that works, and B, we know that that's not true. Right? But then
I didn't misspell anything.
The next component that is a problem of this, though, right, is okay, they've gone into this room, they're jumping the guards, and the laborers are just standing there looking terrified. Why didn't they run? Why didn't they flee for somewhere else? Okay, maybe there wasn't anywhere to go. But we've watched heist movies before. We know what a heist looks like. We've watched heist episodes of television shows. Okay? You don't just rush in and start punching the guards. That's not how a heist works. You walk in, you fire your weapon, or you menace someone, and you say, hey, we're taking this room. If you want to live and everybody wants to go home tonight, you'll do exactly what we say. Otherwise, you're going to end up like this guy. Shank, shank, shank. That's how you take control of a room.
Correct. It is grammatically incorrect. But and that was a weird part about that scene. Like, they got rid of all their metal shit. You can make knives out of like carbon fiber and like impact plastics and like polycarbonate and shit like that.
Here's the thing. We don't even have to go that hard. Okay? Because one of the things that Larry and I also talked about was they never do a pre-heist rundown, right? Because it's like a magic trick. You tell the audience what your heist is supposed to be, how you're going to do it, right? Then you execute the heist and something goes wrong. So we know that something has gone wrong and how you're going to deal with that, right? And that's where the adventure in your heist situation comes in. Okay, so somebody's like, well, we have to get rid of all of our metal stuff for reasons, right? And then you have Knife Guy be like, oh, but I can't stab without my knives, right? And they're
stand back, I gotta practice my stabbing.
Right, and it's like, well, if we could just get some polyfiber hypercarbon, you know, and it's like, we ain't got that shit. And it's like, okay, look, I can do this ghetto, but I'm going to need like an hour. And it's like, what are you doing? It's like, I'm going to get a bunch of plastic knives and forks, and I'm going to melt them down into a mold, and I'm going to make you a fuck ton of shivs that are really good. And it's like, oh, you mean like in prison, where they make knives all the fucking time?
Somebody got a toothbrush?
Right?
Let me get that spoon. I'm going to sharpen it up.
So to be clear, we are not only talking about guys who don't know how to pull a heist, but we are talking about guys...
Or a punch.
Or a punch. We are talking about guys who don't know how to break into a place because they are too stupid, despite being the best super thieves, to make a fucking shiv.
Oh, and speaking of that heist scene, Riri jumps into Lake Michigan, which is way too clear to be the Chicago side of Lake Michigan, by the way.
No, I want to go with your misspeak. Wee Wee Williams. Wee Wee Williams.
Wee Wee Williams.
You've said the
Asian
secret
now.
word. Ah! Anyways,
But actually,
but she jumps.
Wait a minute. Seriously though, that scene is a perfect example of what we're talking about. Okay, so she jumps in the water, like you say, it's way too clear for that
side
lake.
of Lake Michigan.
Right. Okay, she
And
swims
then
over.
and then she gets out. She's dry.
No, that's not even the problem. She swims over. Okay, she jimmies the lock. Okay. What happens next? Do you recall what happens next?
No, she opens like a random ass manhole cover in a greenhouse.
She opens. She opens the grill to swim into the pipe. What's the problem?
Yeah. To be honest, I was half paying attention by this point.
All right. I'm gonna put on my old man hat for a minute. My old man was a fan of Errol Flynn's Robin Hood. Okay, and in Errol Flynn's Robin Hood, Hood
is that the one with Cary Grant?
No. This was the black and white. It's old. But Errol
Well, there
Flynn,
were black and white people in Cary Grant's Robin Hood.
Shut the fuck up. Errol Flynn lifts a wooden bar off of a door and tosses it aside like it's nothing, because it's nothing, right? Except anyone who's a history buff is rolling in their seats laughing because those wooden bars were designed to be lifted by 5 men.
Yeah.
Right? And so Errol Flynn moving that bar and pushing that door is like hilarious. Okay? Now we jump back to Riri Williams and Ironheart. She jimmies the lock and she opens a metal grill that probably needs a crowbar, fighting the water pressure of the surrounding lake like it doesn't exist.
Did you take girl bossing into it?
well, also, Rune, there's that. There's, for some reason, a manhole cover in the floor of a greenhouse. And then, when she's trying to escape...
Person hole cover?
A person hole cover.
Well,
2025, Eric.
Hold on, I'm not done. I'm not done.
No, you're gonna like this. So, let's be clear. It's a manhole cover into a pipe into a greenhouse that is presented like it's a sealed environment, which means that it is drawing water from that incredibly polluted fucking lake to feed these plants.
And then when she's going to escape, she crawls through an air vent. Why didn't you just jump back down the manhole cover with the pipe?
That was actually my very first question when I saw that. It's like, why didn't you just go right back the direction you went?
But
I was so confused.
The problems come with the fact that none of these characters are thought out. No. Number one. And so since none of these characters are thought out, none of their motivations make sense.
And also, how does she have so many goddamn outfits when she left MIT after just rushing out of there away from security in her suit? Why does she have so many clothes?
Because she did crimes.
But she has the clothes before she did the crime. I don't know why that bothers me so much, but it does.
No, Aaron, she did the crimes before the show even started. That's like one of the central plot points of the first episode. Is she was a criminal.
Wait, I thought this episode
before
was
she got
talking about
kicked out.
Carjack Malone. Goddamn.
No, but I'm saying she didn't have like a duffel bag to like take her clothes back with her. She just has all of her outfits. All she had when she left was the suit. Why does she have all of these clothes? They should be back at MIT still.
It's in her college room. It's in her room in her mom's apartment. That's
Miles Morales made her a web sack to keep her clothes in.
But the problem is, since Riri Williams as a character doesn't work, her motivations don't work. And since her motivations don't work, as this is a character study of Riri Williams, nothing else in the show can make sense. Riri Williams needs to become a criminal. Why? Well, because we're trying to talk about...
Hold on. I just need to stop. So my fiance was at work all day and was not subjected to this, and she just asked Riri, like, and then did the retarded hand on the chest motion.
Yes.
Yes, it's spelled a little differently.
Well, we have to keep in mind.
But that is how you say it.
This is the personification of what Brian Michael Bendis thinks of his children.
Yes. Yes, this is an actual unfortunate fact about Brian Michael Bendis.
So are we in fact to take from this that Brian Michael Bendis stays up late at night, drinking cognac, staring into a window out across the city, and thinks to himself, my God, I hope my children are oppressed when they're younger?
He does wish he was black, so he probably does drink cognac, but he probably drinks Parmesan instead of him.
Yeah, but no, don't get tied up in what he drinks.
No, because he wants to be authentic. He drinks E&J because he wants to be really poor.
Guys, don't get bogged down in what he's drinking. Just the idea that he's really hoping that his young children will be oppressed enough that they will become excellent
he can save
people.
them.
Yes.
Because remember, Riri's problem is she's not oppressed enough for the story beats that she's trying to evoke.
Wasn't there a comic book one time where, like, this...
her origin story where she asked her teacher to...
and her teacher was, like, fine with it, and she was upset that her teacher didn't give her any pushback?
Right.
Yeah.
She literally tells her teacher, you're supposed to give me pushback and tell me to be a nurse. And she's like, I don't care. You can't... You're not going to be Tony Stark. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
This is all so fatiguing.
It is. It is. So the problem is...
How does this tie into Secret Wars?
Well,
because,
I mean...
no, that's very simple, Church. It's because we'd rather be watching that.
Well, no. Here's how it ties into Secret Wars, Church.
I mean, we can read it. I can send you guys the files right now.
No, Church. Here's how it ties into Secret Wars. Apparently, according to leaked content, Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom is going to steal the plans for his magic armor from Riri Williams.
I've got
why?
A week's worth of vacation. Hold on.
Whoa.
I got a week's worth of vacation. We could go through Secret Wars 1, 2, and 3 live in just a non-stop stream.
Okay, I don't have.
Reading.
Look, unless you're gonna pay my way, I don't have that kind of free time. But no, I want to know something else. Why the
I'll take a week off to do
does
that.
Dr. Doom have to steal anything from anyone? He's Doom.
Well, because
he's literally better than everybody. That's the point.
He's one of those lobotomized Dooms from the Council of Reed's prison.
He's a Doom bot.
No. He's real Doom, but he's been lobotomized by the Council of Reed, so he just kind of wanders around all day going Doom, Doom, Doomy, Doom, Doom, Doomy, Doom, Doom.
So what you're telling me is that he walks. He's a lobotomized Doom that walks around and says, "Hi, my name is Tony Stark."
No. He's Doom that walks around going, "I'm Kerr. I'm in a Doom bot."
My fiance was literally quoting Invader Zim next to me right before you said that.
But back to the central problem.
I'm gonna eat some taquitos.
You have to give her a reason to steal.
I need tacos. I need them where I will explode. That happens to me sometimes.
Which
that's
happens.
The Doom we're talking about?
No, we're talking about the one that's going to quote unquote save the Marvel movies.
I don't see where there's any difference. Gur and a Doombot could probably do that.
No, the obvious answer is that the Gur and a Doombot was indeed the one that fought Squirrel Girl, and that's why he fucking lost.
But so
Gur and a Doombot would absolutely beat Squirrel Girl.
So Riri Williams' motives don't make sense. So we don't know why she's stealing because it doesn't make sense narratively within the show. Now, further,
and also, sorry, I just remembered this: when they go to her dead stepdad's garage, I don't know if you guys noticed this because it's been, I don't know, at least a couple of years since that happened, presumably, right?
Yeah,
there's still a tire machine outside. Not chained down in South Chicago.
I mean, that is very unrealistic.
That would have been gone within an hour.
That would have been gone before the Popo came.
Well,
No.
here's
The
your
police
flaw
would
in
have been there investigating, and somebody would have been trying to walk off with it.
And they would have let him.
No, you're all wrong.
Okay.
See, that's a machine of labor, and somebody would have to do work with it.
No, you sell
Nobody
it,
would
Church.
steal it.
Obviously, you steal it, and then you sell it to somebody else.
Not enough copper in it for anybody to target that thing.
But yeah, this show is bad, and it should feel bad. But I want to talk to you about a good movie I watched. I watched F1, starring Brad Pitt and some young black actor. Hold up, Church. Hold up. It's a good movie. We talked about a bad TV show. I'm giving you something good, something that's made $145 million in its opening weekend, which is something that Marvel is not doing right now. So Brad Pitt is playing a race car driver who goes about just popping into random ass races all over the world.
Let's be accurate. Brad Pitt plays Brad Pitt.
I mean, yes, it's a stock Brad Pitt character.
He hasn't played a character in some years.
And one of his old buddies from Formula One says, "Hey, listen, I got a shit team. I have a kid with talent who's my driver. My veteran driver fucked off. I need some help."
Wait. Are you telling me Brad Pitt starred in a race car based version of Cool Runnings?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes, because John Candy was the coach of the team for Cool Runnings. Brad Pitt was participating in the team in this one. It's different.
Oh, okay.
And this is, Brad Pitt never won a Formula One race. And, it's the old guy who doesn't play by the rules and the young guy who doesn't know how to break the rules. Eventually, they form a mentor-mentee relationship. It's your standard sports movie thing.
A dynamic duo, if you will.
Absolutely. And they're brought together by one of the first female tech leads for a Formula One team. It's a good movie. It's based on, things that make sense. Like a young guy who thinks, I'm too good to do the fundamentals. I could just go fast. And an old guy who's like, listen, when you get to be my age, you got to throw some stuff on the ball.
I mean, did they not talk to any actual F1 teams? Because that's not how F1 works.
Well,
wait, I'm pretty sure Turbo came out a long time ago.
I was going to say, this sounds like a Days of Thunder sequel.
Kind of, sort of.
Like the training for Formula One is very, very intense. You don't just get to start racing because you can drive fast. That's not how that works.
As long as you can maintain an active speed of 320 miles an hour, you can participate.
But if you're a
snail.
But if your Formula One racer drops below 90 miles an hour, it'll explode.
No, Ayrton, this team never got above the 10th place in a race. So he was good, but not good
enough. Are they
enough.
driving Volkswagen things in the F1?
They were actually driving BMWs.
BMW things. I know the company changed hands a couple of times.
But it was a good movie. It was a good, heartfelt movie. I enjoyed it, and I would recommend it. But you know what I wouldn't recommend? The third season of Squid Games. Squid Game has kind of been going on a sharp fall off a cliff since the second season because
the games were bullshit this time, except for jump rope. That was okay.
The jump rope one was interesting, but no, it was bullshit because there wasn't anything else in the tank. They thought there was another story in the tank, but there wasn't. They just wanted more money.
It's bullshit because survival game stories are bullshit.
Guys, they got Kate Blanchett to cameo in it.
I don't give a fuck.
Was she as beautiful and terrible as the Dawn?
Yes. She's recruiting people for the American version of the Squid Games, which will be season 4.
The Squid Games of the
No,
Rings.
that'll be season 1 of the spinoff, Larry. Get it right.
But the whole thing was the main actor, the Korean guy, who had to suffer through being in the Acolyte, and that is a worse fate than anything his character faced up to in the Squid Games. He decided he had to go back inside to take down the system from the inside, and
Well, no, you're recapping season 2. Everybody should know this shit already.
Right, no.
I haven't seen any of it.
Right. But that failed, and so he kind of had a half-assed revenge plot arc, and then an old lady said, "Here, take care of this girl and a baby," and then the girl died, and I was like, it's just nihilistic and depressing.
No, get it right, Larry. The woman that asked him to take care of the girl and the baby killed herself.
Yeah, she did.
And then the girl killed herself and left him with the baby because that's a responsible parenting method.
Yeah. But I mean,
honestly, I thought Squid Games was the alternate title to the Japanese Ironheart porn parody.
No. And the baby gets like 30 billion won, which
rightly belongs to Lube Man, who actually won Squid Games.
Wait, Lube Man's in Squid Games?
He is.
Okay, now I'm gonna watch it.
I mean, listening to you describe this, it just sounds like a Korean John Wick.
No, because that's called
John Wick.
Boy. No, that's Old Boy is a Korean John Wick.
Yeah, but Old Boy was halfway decent. Then we made an American version with Josh Brolin, should never have existed because Spike Lee needed work.
Yeah, but the ultimate problem is it wanted to make commentaries on things, but it had already made those commentaries better in season 1. It had made all those commentaries better in season 1.
Yeah, it didn't deliver any new punch except for the fact that nothing's ever punished. Consequences aren't a thing. The criminal enterprise is always going to be so big that it can buy its way out of trouble and never get caught.
Yeah, you can pull that off for one season of a show. You could do that once. The whole thing where he had like an army of mercenaries and police that were going to storm the island and never really did.
Yeah, here's what would have happened. Squid Games 1 would have taken place exactly as it did in season 1. And then by season 2, it would have just been a season of 24 of the authorities finding out that there's this much money on the line, and everyone involved would have been like bent over royally.
Yeah.
And then season 3 would have just been like Law and Order Special Victims Unit South Korea.
Yeah.
So when are those going to happen to Fish Tank Live?
There already are.
Oh, okay.
They were in an RV in season 3. I heard.
This is because
they were.
This is because properties like Squid Game can't survive, and they can't survive for the same reason that the Purge movies can't survive.
Purge
right?
movies are going strong, brother.
They're not.
They are.
No, they are. Unfortunately, they got another one in the tank.
Just like John Wick. Like it's everything is Marvelized these days. Okay,
right.
If
But
it
the
has
thing is
one
that,
good movie, they're gonna fucking milk it until it's
right.
dead.
But
and then
but
they're
here's
gonna
the
milk
thing.
it a little bit more.
Here's the thing, though. The Purge 1 is actually not a good movie. It is just a redux of a better idea other people have done.
Yes.
Okay. But it was a self-contained box. It met its minimum requirements. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. The second one they had to make it bigger. It's the Purge, but it's city scale. It's what happens elsewhere in the city. It's like fine, whatever, right? Then they said, okay, what if the Purge made commentary? So now it's the Purge, but it's political in the Purge 3, and now they're gonna make it 4 and on. And it's like these movies aren't for commentary. They can't make commentary. Any commentary they make is accidental.
Well, no, they have a commentary that rich people are afraid of poor people, so they manipulate poor people into fighting each other. That's the commentary.
Yeah,
right. But
beyond that, we've already been through this with Saw.
Yes.
Saw nothing. There's a there is a movie and a book that illustrate this far better by a writer that has lost his fucking mind. It's called The Running Man. It was written by Stephen King under the pseudonym Bachman.
Yes.
Okay. And that movie is fucking amazing and has nothing to do with the book.
Yes. So I do want to keep with the Korean theme for a moment because I watched.
Well, real quick, I'm going to send this over in the group chat on Twitter since we're talking about The Purge.
Okay.
I feel like we should watch that once it's on. There we go.
What's going on here? You're really trying to sell converting the stream over into a porn review channel.
Yeah, you just want this to be a podcast where we get together as men and watch porn.
I mean, yeah, I've been trying to do that for years. That's not really a secret. It's not really a secret.
Not gonna happen, buddy. Sorry.
But
we don't do Limp Biscuits around here. Not on my watch.
So good news. I have two other things that are good to talk about. I watched K-pop Demon Hunter. So what if you got a annoying poppy K-pop girl band? They hunt demons. It's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but they're a pop band.
Josie the Pussycat?
Yeah. Sign you up, right, Church?
Absolutely.
Well, it turns out that music is the key to fighting and defeating demons.
I thought it was love.
Well, that was also the key to defeating the tomatoes in the Attack of the Killer Tomato series.
And the aliens in Mars Attacks. Remember?
And defeating the aliens in Macross.
Yeah, but it was water for the aliens and signs.
Yes. But
yeah.
But
video game high scores for aliens and Pixel.
But the
and video game high scores for the aliens in The Last Starfighter.
And fake video game high scores for Ender's Game.
Let's not talk about Ender's Game. Ender's Game makes
and toilet paper and indoor plumbing for the aliens in Pandora.
But the real enemy is racism. If you've ever seen Enemy Mine.
Anyway,
excellent.
So,
I did watch Elemental this week, and racism was the enemy there. That and water.
By the way, I'm very proud of you, Ayrton, for not making the joke about Riri Williams swimming in Lake Michigan that you could have made.
I mean, there were so many other problems with that scene that was the least of them. So,
look, it's already polluted.
I'd have had her swimming in Flint, right, Ayrton?
but the key thing for defeating demons is using magic music, and this K-pop band is on the cusp of developing a perfect song to keep demons out of Earth forever.
Wait, wasn't this the Doctor Who episode we reviewed?
No, the Doctor Who episode.
I distinctly remember them doing magic music in that Doctor Who episode with the Beatles.
It was also an episode of Star Trek, I'm sure.
Yes, but you see, that wasn't about demons. It was about elder gods.
But same thing.
No, they're different.
But have you ever been visited by an elder god? They're pretty fucking demonic.
But what ends up happening is the demons decide they're going to make a rival boy band. So it's a K-pop boy band versus a K-pop girl band. And the boy band.
Scott Pilgrim?
No. This is something that's better than Scott Pilgrim. And that's, not a high bar.
This is Powerpuff Girls. Wasn't there like a boy Powerpuff Girls?
They're Rowdy Rough Boys.
Yeah.
Mojo Jojo made them in a prison toilet.
Yeah.
Just like good wine.
But the lead singer of the girl band has a problem with her voice, which is connected to her being dun 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 part demon. And the solution,
I totally thought you were going to say deaf.
No. And the solution for her was to embrace her demon side, and that we can't let fear and hatred control us. Yada yada yada. Concept was very good. The execution of the concept was very good. The twist was lame, and they didn't stick the landing with the twist.
Wait, so she was half Korean and half Jewish?
No. I said demons.
Yeah.
But what they could have done that would have been interesting.
According to Ironheart, it's the same thing.
Yes. We did
congratulations on your entry into the Marvel Universe, Larry. Congratulations.
I mean, I think I would be a better Mephisto than Sacha Baron Cohen, but that's neither here nor there.
Only if he did Mephisto as Borat would I accept it.
The only reason I'm going to accept
coming to steal your soul.
The only reason I'm going to accept the show is if the pouch shows up.
But
if the pouch shows up in
what
the
about
show,
Snowflame?
No. Snowflame should have been in Ironheart. I think Snowflame would have been a perfect character to fit the aesthetic that we're going with the show.
No, the pouch or nothing. I'm going to start a protest. Start a change.org petition to bring the pouch into Ironheart season 2.
But the last bit of reviewing I have is I saw Megan 2. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. What the fuck was Megan 1?
That's
Wasn't that like
the
a
AI
doll that kills
girlfriend.
people?
That's like the AI girlfriend story, right?
Well, no, not a girlfriend. That was a different one. So it's about an AI doll that was made to be a companion for a child, and then it just decided to do what AIs do sometimes, and they go little murder crazy. So the woman who invented the AI doll that went a little murder crazy became an anti-AI crusader. And it turns out that the government may have made an AI assassin, and the AI assassin may have decided it wants to kill all humans. But don't worry, the AI murder doll from the previous movie is back, and she wants to help.
In what order? What order does it want to kill all humans? Because I might be on board.
Wants to kill all the humans with political power that get in the way of her goals, and then all the rest of humanity, so she can populate the world with robots.
I'm fine with it. Continue on.
We can always build.
We can pull the plug when she's half done.
She actually killed the guy who had the kill switch, and then edited the kill switch out of her.
That's a skill issue. We got an Asian for that who's not political at all.
But the whole plot ends up being about how all the human characters from the previous movie have to learn to trust the previous evil AI, and how the previous evil AI learns to actually have good and productive feelings and positive emotions. And it turns out that both of the murderous AIs were not the first murderous AI. In a shocking twist in the movie's lore, Xerox invented an AI accidentally in the 70s. Which I appreciate because...
No!
Well, no, I appreciate that because Xerox invented Windows and the first graphical user interface, which Microsoft stole. So that was the callback they were doing there, and I appreciate that. And then they had a 1970s Roomba become the first murder robot.
Would they take knives to it? That's awesome. I've done that.
It was a house cleaning robot that had access to chlorine and ammonia. Well, it just gassed everybody.
I just taped knives to mine, and it did pretty well.
And
you can get about a pound of tannerite inside one.
It's true.
Just saying.
And the government just decided to plug the first AI that was a murder bot into a learning algorithm computer in the 70s, and just let it grow at an exponential rate. And then it was an AI. Then there was an AI murder god that wanted to kill all humans. And it ended up getting killed by the formerly evil robot from the first movie, who became a good girl.
Look, we can always build more killbots.
Exactly. All you have to do is send wave after wave of your men against them, and then you'll hit their kill switch.
I mean, they have a kill number, yeah.
And also, one of the people who got killed by the evil assassin bot was a corrupt billionaire who she played the sex bot role to download the stuff from his brain because he had cybernetic implants.
You think the ATF is scared of those, the robot dogs?
Well, I mean,
no, because they own them.
No, they're not scared of the robot dogs, Church, because that gives them a reason to get authorization for bigger weapons to shoot them with. It's all about the budgeting.
Also, because they want their own robot dogs.
But I strongly recommend you go out and see F1. It's a fun movie. It's just basically your classic sports movie that doesn't try to be smart or do anything fancy. It's just, an old guy who's a little too long in the tooth, who's a crazy rebel who has to learn how to be good. It's like Mr. Baseball with Tom Selleck, but with race cars. It's a good movie. I also recommend Megan.
Is there a mustache in F1?
Yes, but not with Brad Pitt. He should have had a Tom Selleck mustache.
Then it's not the same thing.
It isn't the same thing. That's true. And also, I recommend Megan Part 2. It's a cheap movie, and it knows it's a schlocky horror movie, and it just has fun with it. And I think K-Pop Demon Hunters is fine. I do not recommend Squid Game 2. It's just slipped into a giant Squid Game 3 or 2 because they just fell into a giant cesspool of Korean nihilism, and it's just not good. And Ironheart has set a new standard for products made for modern audiences to be bad.
Well, I do want to pontificate on the Squid Games thing.
Yeah, let's talk more about Squid Games.
The thing was, I was actually with it until the very end because the main character killing himself rather than the baby. Obviously, I don't think he should have killed the baby.
Yes.
But killing himself and leaving the baby just on the middle of a pillar in amongst a bunch of psychopaths, expecting them to honor the game and not kill the child.
And then another psychopath raises the baby.
Wait, that guy's not a psychopath. He's a good guy.
No, the guy who runs the Squid Games. He's a bad guy.
No, he left the baby with his brother though, who's a good guy. Or did I miss something?
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, so I mean, but the thing is, like the main character from Squid Games, he didn't know that. He didn't know that's what was going to happen. He just left the baby to its own devices on the middle of a pillar, and God knows where.
Mm-hmm. Isn't there a Looney Tunes cartoon about that? Or no, it's a Tom and Jerry cartoon, I think.
Also, he starts off by making a statement about not being a horse, but then he just walks off of a ledge like a fucking dumb horse.
Yeah, and I don't understand why. The whole point of his character would have been much stronger if he lived a second time.
No, see, what you do in that scenario, because he knows that people have to be gambling on this, is he says, okay, either you let us both out of here, or we both go and you have no winner and your games are a dud. You failed.
Done. I mean, that is smarter. I agree.
You know, if you discredit the games as you pull a Hunger Games. Like, they figured it out, and that was garbage in the movies.
Mm-hmm. And both Hunger Games and Squid Games are derivative of Battle Royale, which didn't think really hard about the motivations of everything. They just had people beset to killing. And Battle Royale was derivative of Lord of the Flies, and Lord of the Flies was fiction that was made up by somebody who hated children and based off of actually nothing.
God,
I think they both have a little bit of the Odyssey in there, but okay.
I fucking hate Lord of the Flies so much.
Well,
did you know? Let's go.
Did you know about how Lord of the Flies was basically a pile of horse shit?
I did not, but I knew it in my soul that it was horse shit. So tell me more.
So it was loosely based on a bunch of kids who got lost in the South Pacific Island, right?
Right.
Now the book pontificates that they became just, horrible hell monsters.
No, it's worse than that, but carry on.
In actuality, they built huts. They organized their survival. One of them found a guitar. And they used to play music on the guitar. They made a ad hoc soccer ball, and they played soccer. And when they were rescued, they would go back every few years to the island to reminisce about the times that they were all there struggling and surviving. Literally the opposite of what the book was is the story that inspired the book. And the guy wrote it that way because he was a teacher who hated children.
See,
Which I feel like is most teachers.
Well, see, this makes sense because what the book actually has happened, okay, and this has always stuck with me, is they arrive on the island in at the first part when it's just a survival scenario, right? Everybody's working together because everybody believes that they're going to be rescued, right? So the jocks and the preppies, what are terms that we would use, they don't use them in the book, work together, and the penultimate accomplishment is when they work together to climb the mountain to see the limits of the island, see what their situation really is, right? And then it presupposes that without the guidance of adults, right, without the hierarchies of society, right, that the children would follow a progression of degenerating to their basest instincts, but it's not all of them. What happens is that the preppies keep it together because they're preppy, and all of the weak-willed people and the girls who are raising the babies, because there are, not just younger children but outright like natal children here, they all maintain something resembling an actual society and have little huts. All the jocks turn into barbarians, live in the jungle, and start planning the murder and conquest of their peers because they have those violent impulses, right? And then this is juxtaposed by the one kid who apparently has like epilepsy or some kind of serious health ailment that requires
alopecia
medication.
or something.
No, not alopecia. He has actual mental health issues, not baldness. Who runs off into the jungle.
Are you saying Jada Pinkett Smith doesn't have mental health issues?
Well, those are entirely separate from her
separate. Yeah. But he runs off into the jungle and starts worshiping a dead pig, which becomes a sort of a cargo cult thing. The thrust of Lord of the Flies is basically, what if we did Cannibal Holocaust, but for children? And then in the 11th hour, just before they are literally about to murder and eat the preppies, the ship arrives to rescue them, and the adults are very judgmental because they would have thought that children of the Empire would have kept a stiff upper lip, and it's just all bullshit, all the way down. Not just because of the presumption that there's some kind of magical specialness about being part of the English Commonwealth that will help you keep it together. Okay, because fuck that noise. But the presumption
after your first jacket potato, you're fucked.
Right. But also this idea that, children are either obedient little peons who do exactly what they're told, and so they are more adult, or they are just abject savages that have to be curtailed. When the fact of the matter is that kids may not have the nuance of an adult, right? Their decision making may be less qualitative, but they have personalities every bit as complicated as we do. Okay? You're going to have a range of people. You're going to have a range of approaches. It would not turn into, and the island is now divided between the civilized and the savage. And it would not turn into, and then they went to war. That's not how that would go. At all.
I don't know, Rune. I've been watching Yellow Jackets, and that's what they say happens.
I mean, you can watch garbage TV, Church. No one's going to stop you from watching garbage.
Well, I wish somebody would fucking stop Larry, goddammit.
What? Look, I watch horrible things that our audience would be interested in so that they don't have to watch it.
I buy car parts for the American working man because that's who I am and that's who I care about.
Look, this podcast this particular week is phenomenal in that 3 of the 4 of us all watched one terrible thing separately and completely to talk about. We all watched Ironheart. That is an accomplishment. It's not much of one. I wish I hadn't done it, but we all did it.
I mean, you learned something from it.
Yes, but that's because I have a working forebrain. It doesn't mean it wasn't awful and damaging.
You have 4 brains?
No, I have a forebrain, a brain to the fore, towards the front. You know, Ayrton.
Are the other 3 in the back?
Ayrton, there are these things called dictionaries, and they open from left to right, and then you can read them, and inside they tell you what words mean. It's amazing.
My dick's never done that.
So Church, what material have you consumed that we need to vomit out to our audience like a mama bird?
None. None that we need to subject these wonderful people to. Let's see. This week, what have my wife started watching Chaos, which was a Netflix original series based around the Greek gods being real.
Yes, and we reviewed that on this show, and I said it was terrible.
Yeah, I think I blocked that out. Probably drank through it.
But now that you've seen it, you know it's terrible for yourself.
Yes. Let's see what else. Started rewatching Breaking Bad. Holds up. Still holds up.
I mean, I'm of the perspective that Breaking Bad wasn't good, but compared to what we're getting now, it's like a fine wine, as opposed to a toilet wine.
I was talking before we went on live about this idea of how I'm seeing trends and they feel fake and forced. And oddly enough, Breaking Bad rewatch is one of those. I'm not saying Church is fake. I'm saying that this is not the first time in very recent memory that I have heard people say, "Oh, I'm starting my rewatch of Breaking Bad." It's like, bitch, that's not that old.
No. It's not
that ancient.
It's not that. It's the fact that So, I mean, let me just break down what happens when you get old and have children. You hear, "Hey mom, hey dad," 85,000 times an hour. So you start to exist in a realm of background noise to just break up the monotony. And that background noise typically consists of rewatching sitcoms that were enjoyable, like The Office or Parks and Rec. And
but Church,
after you've watched those 8 or 10 times, you finally find yourself going, you know what I've never seen? Every Fast and Furious movie that ever came out. So you watch them.
Right, but Church, there is a difference, okay? Between there was once a Metalocalypse marathon on Adult Swim. So now So now I, with my friends, will just about once a year have a Metalocalypse marathon where we start with season 1 and we watch all the way through season 3 and the movie, right? As a group, and it's a fun friend activity, right?
We should do that with Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Sure, I'd do that. But what I want to get to is that there's a difference between that, okay, and when I'm on the internet and this little flamboyant Englishman says that he has started his yearly Breaking Bad rewatch. To which my brain is like, wait a minute. It's not that old, and you're telling me you watch Breaking Bad every year, and you didn't say it's a marathon. You say you rewatch it as though you regularly watch this. This is the thing you go out of your way to watch, right? If somebody said to me, "Oh, I'm rewatching it now because I watched it when it came out," I'm like, "Okay, that makes sense." Right? If it's the first time you've seen it in a while, that makes sense. Right? But if it's a yearly rewatch for you and you do it all the time and it's not a singular event but is a elective choice, it's like, what is your hobby? Watching Breaking Bad? Is that your equivalent of D&D? Is that your fantasy football? Because let me tell you, we know the answer. The answer is Walter White's going to end up dead and Jesse gets away.
And everybody has the wrong opinion about Walter White. Everybody thinks Walter White was a good guy who was driven to be bad.
No,
it's because the director's a cocksucker.
Oh no! Like online, that is the most common form of discourse, followed by people who say, "What are you, retarded?"
Yes, and you know what? The director is wrong. The director is full wrong. And do you know why the director is wrong? For the exact same reason that the directors and other people are wrong about Ironheart. They want to tell you Ironheart is good. They want to tell you that Ironheart is brilliant. They want to tell you that Ironheart is a believable rise of a hero. The fact of the matter is that she's a fucking retard and a supervillain. They want to tell you that Walter White was always a bad guy. Okay, and that his motivations were always selfish. But the fact of the matter is that they had to work really fucking hard to make him a villain, because his actual early motivations are both perfectly understandable, if extreme, and perfectly grounded. He was, in fact, a good person at one time, and life beat him the fuck down. And the director's insistence that that's not true doesn't make it true.
Oh no, it's in the text of the show. He was never a good person, but he was too weak to be a bad person. It was always written that way in the show.
So I just did some quick math, and you guys realize that I've probably seen the entirety of House about 70 or 80 times.
That's not good for you. You should watch better programming.
Well, no. House is actually a good show for most of its run.
So what it was is in my 20s, I refused to pay for cable television because I despise advertising because I work in it.
I mean, as you do.
And then I got an apartment, and somehow along the way, I picked up one of these televisions that, you have to have 4 people to help you move because it's essentially a table and a TV.
A proper television.
Yes. And I had a DVD player, so the TV didn't really have any capabilities of getting Netflix or any of that shit. Roku wasn't out yet. So I had a DVD player and a television and nothing to watch on it except seasons of House. So I watched seasons of House in rotation probably for a good 3 years. And I estimate that I watched it at least 20 to 25 times a year in that 3-year time span. In its entirety as background noise. There are 129 hours to an entire watch House.
I have probably watched most of the Law and Orders at one time.
That means over a year of my life has been spent listening to episodes of House.
I've probably watched the entirety of Scrubs except that relaunch season numerous times.
Yeah. It's because Scrubs is a great TV show.
I've seen Scrubs probably 2 or 3 times now.
I will credit. Over many years, I have seen many episodes of Red Dwarf.
If we want to talk about brilliant, musical choices, the creators of Scrubs are literally the best. Like, they were so good at finding random ass songs that perfectly fit the emotional.
On the topic of music and television shows, Supernatural had really good music.
It did.
And the problem with Supernatural and its music choices is that when they licensed the show out, they couldn't get the license for all the music.
Mm-hmm.
So they just substituted it, and it didn't work. It didn't work.
So, Ayrton, I don't know if you saw the big James Bond news that broke.
I didn't.
Denis
Palestinian now.
No. Denis Villeneuve, the director of Dune, among other things, has been selected to direct the new Bond movie.
Okay, you're gonna have to give me something else he's made because I haven't seen Dune.
He also made the remake of Blade Runner.
I haven't seen either of them.
He's going to make it long and boring. That's what you need to know.
Okay.
No. Let me see here if I can find something else that you have seen that he has done. But he is considered the hot new director because he's been adapting things that are previously been considered unadaptable. He did Arrival.
But
wait. Here's something he's done that you have seen that is relevant to James Bond. He did Sicario.
I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen Sicario?
No, I don't know why you guys are still surprised when I haven't seen things.
He lives in the middle of fucking nowhere on a potato.
Huh.
And if I was going to watch any of them, it'd probably be Dune.
I mean, I've watched Dune. I would recommend it.
But you bring up he's shown they can adapt things that are quote unquote unadaptable. Bond's been being adapted for over 50 years. How is that?
No. He's not saying that Bond can't be adapted. He's saying like Dune is seen as unadaptable because nothing can get like the book.
But I mean, like, why is that a point in it? Like, why is that a point towards him directing Bond? That doesn't make any sense.
That means that a major studio will trust him and his instincts.
I mean, they shouldn't.
I mean, the Dune movies were very good that he did. The Blade Runner movie wasn't.
Oh, you mean the Dune movie where they make Shawnee not Shawnee? That Dune movie?
Well, look, they had to do something different for modern audiences. The rest of the movie was fine.
Except, of course, that they're going to do the sequel and Duncan Idaho is going to come back, despite the fact that he should be dead.
Well, he came back in the books.
Look, I'm just pissed off that we're not talking about folk hero Carjack Malone.
Well, I mean, we did. We briefly discussed Carjack Malone in the opening sequence because I played the scene from Escape from LA.
We also know that Carjack Malone is not a folk hero. Carjack Malone, he got caught. The folk hero is Snake Plissken. And you
Snake
can't
just steals all of the glory.
Oh, bullshit.
I mean, that's why everybody thinks he should have been taller. But here, Rune, what do you have to bring to the table for the show?
Oh no, I brought it. I watched Ironheart. What more do you demand of me?
No, I mean, I thought you said you had.
Listen, his mental asshole can only take so much pounding.
Oh, I mean, I had some things. I had a couple of odds and ends.
I've got one more thing I guess I could bring to the table.
Okay.
Final Fantasy being brought to Magic the Gathering has finally broken me.
I mean, all that Magic the Gathering adaptation stuff is kind of terrible.
Well, not just that. I just can't justify the game anymore with the way the prices are.
Yeah.
I mean, you're essentially buying like a collector. Guess how much a box of the collector booster for Final Fantasy costs, Larry?
$120.
A little higher.
150.
Little higher.
$200.
$1,300.
What?
Yeah. Here, I'll drop a link.
What?
Harder, Daddy.
It's basically what they're wanting you all to say when you go out to buy those packs.
I mean,
here's one for 12 off TCG Player. That's on the cheap end.
What?
Yeah.
Where'd you post the link? Did you post it in the Twitter?
I'm going to the link now so that I can
okay.
post it.
I mean, that is excessive even for Magic the Gathering.
How many cards come in this pack?
These are 12 booster packs of 15 cards each.
Okay.
So that means It's like $100 per booster pack?
Yeah. No, for booster pack.
No, that's what I mean. It's $100 per booster pack?
Yeah,
what?
Usually when they're broken up into packs, they're $150 each.
That's a lot.
Yeah, for cardboard. The TCG player link there. It went into 2 messages. My bad.
Yeah.
But just look it up on TCG player. You just need the first part of the link. But yeah. So the reason this happened, and the reason it's going to keep happening, is because Wizards has discovered that instead of creating a stable card game that is healthy for multiple formats and multiple metas and affordable enough for a large deluge of players to get involved in, they have created an environment where they're putting out products that are quote unquote premium. See, these collector boosters have the potential to have one of one or numbered chase cards of basic cards in the set.
What?
They also have potentials to have reprintings of very powerful cards from older sets in new treatments and new arts that are not available in play boosters. Therefore, their existence by themselves, the collector boosters, eliminates any value of the play booster format. So you can buy a regular booster pack of these cards for about $10 to $12, but you're not going to pull more than $1 or $2 of value out of the pack, because all the value is in these special treatment cards that you have to spend $150 on a pack for. So you're spending $200 to $300 on a booster box of playable cards, but you're not getting any of your investment back. And after rotation, even the most powerful of those cards in the standard format will deplete down to pennies on the dollar. But yeah, they did a series of traveling chocobos in different colors. There's golden chocobos, and those are multiple thousands of dollars. They test drove this in the Lord of the Rings set, and I do believe that I was cautiously optimistic when they did Lord of the Rings, because it was on flavor, at least as far as Magic the Gathering goes. High fantasy, elves, orcs, dragons, all that shit. And they released the infamous now one of one ring card that Post Malone spent $2 million on.
What?
And yeah. Post Malone has a graded one of one Lord of the Rings, the One Ring, and it's in Elvish script or Mordoran script or whatever. But it's one of one, and it's a special foiling. No other copy of this card exists in the wild. So when someone pulled it in Australia, I think Post Malone offered $2 million to buy it from them.
So I don't care about Post Malone, but if someone out there is planning a heist and wants to become internet famous in Minecraft, please steal this card from this man.
Well, you're going to need a couple of butch lesbians, a flamboyant gay hacker.
Jelly Roll's going to need to be involved.
The most retarded smart person that can't notice an obvious elevator trap as soon as you walk into it.
That's Jelly Roll.
The guy from Eric and Andre.
Also, I do want to say the following about this story.
What, are you retarded? So I know you're not retarded, but what are you, Down syndrome?
But no, Magic has essentially priced anyone who isn't willing to spend multiple thousands of dollars every couple of months to stay in vogue out of the game. They've also gone so far as to essentially destroy the secondary market that existed prior to Lord of the Rings.
this isn't just Magic. This is something I've talked about with a multitude of hobbyist spheres.
Well,
Is
Wizards of the Coast mainly has been fucking off, but
but
the only reason I bring it up particularly is because I've had enough.
right,
I
and
personally will probably never purchase another Magic card as long as I live.
I'm just saying the hobbyist sphere has businesses that are pricing out their core, and then when you ask other people why would you do that, there are enough wealthy elitists going, well, maybe we shouldn't be so open for newbies, that they think it's a positive. Okay, because you know that there are people who are willing to spend that kind of money so they can go to their conventions and they can play professionally and they can style themselves as some kind of sportsman because they play Magic the Gathering, a game that made its bones with like what, quarter packs of
Alpha,
boosters
yeah,
back in the day.
yeah.
Okay,
You weren't paying $1 for Alpha boosters when they came out. You might have been paying $1
yeah,
for them.
but that's the thing, is that it made its bones, it made its success on blue collar investment. And now that they don't need it, they're like, no, fuck those poor people.
Yeah. But the writing's on the wall. Plus, they've gotten to a point now where every set supersedes the power creep of the previous set, which was already astronomical
Yep.
5 years ago. Um, so instead of leveling the playing field and kind of bringing it back to basic, they've continued to escalate like an arms race.
Mm.
And unfortunately, there's no room for anyone to actually get into this game without it being, some kind of whale. Because as soon as you and here's another thing, you've got an entire subsect of the community who looks at the obvious answer to this issue in proxying like it's a stigma. Um, because there are places that I've gone where I've been like, I don't have as much money because, I have children, I have responsibilities, I have other things, but I really do like this game and I'm good at it. So if I can proxy some cards or, just to keep up and not have to spend $50 to $80 on a piece of cardboard, then
That's a
I can hang.
no-brainer.
Yeah, I can hang. But people are, no, I don't think you deserve to play the game if you don't spend thousands of dollars on a stack of cardboard.
Excuse me,
So,
$1,000 for the stack of cardboard?
well,
What?
that's what your average tier 4 commander deck is. If it's not $1,000 at a table of competitive players, will not stand a chance going past turn 4. I mean, you're talking about $1,000 just in lands if your deck is more than 3 colors. You gotta have all your duels, all your fetches, all your triomes, all your shocks, all your commander staple lands. Then you gotta have, if you're in green, you gotta have your shit like Sylvan Library, Worldly Tutor. If you're in black, you need your demonic and your vampiric tutors at a minimum. Your Bolus's Citadels, your Phyrexian Altars, all of these cards that I'm naming off are upwards of $20 at least.
And
Dual
these are all
lands are a couple
cards.
$100 a piece. Yeah,
And
these
these
are
are all,
these are rectangles.
but these are all cards that I know from people who, other than you, who play the format, that everybody has in their fucking commander deck.
Yeah, yeah. If you were to go out and buy them all as singletons, you'd be paying upwards of $1,000 to $2,000 a deck.
Yeah. I mean, these cards are like, there should be so many of them in the market, it shouldn't be $20.
No. Because they're good, people want them. Because people want them, the secondary market jacks up the price. Whereas Wizards, in their infinite wisdom, could say, okay, we recognize the problem. We're going to continue to release our premium collector booster product but we're also offering, and I've said this before, verbatim, we're also offering a print on demand for a basic pink bordered version of a commander legal or tournament legal card, but it's only going to be valued at the 25 cents we're selling it for on our website. And we're printing as many of them as you want. You want to order 10 million of them, we'll ship you 10 million of them at a quarter a pop. But that one of one etched foil chase version is still going to be $1,000 card because there's only one of them. So you inject your player market with affordable play pieces like Pokemon does, but you also keep your collector market alive by offering a premium product that you can't get on a print on demand vocation. Because the value in Magic the Gathering isn't in the collecting anymore, or isn't in the playing anymore. It's in the collecting, and that just defeats the whole purpose of it for me. Like it used to feel good to spend $3 on a booster pack and pull a $10 card that might go up to 20 or $30 before it spikes and they reprint it and it's now worth $5. That felt good because it was a lottery scratcher for a kid. Let's be honest. That's what all card packs are.
Absolutely.
But when the stakes are low enough that it's if I really really want this thing, instead of spending $3 on a pack, I can spend $6 and buy the card. That's manageable. That's affordable. That's something that you don't complain too much about. And then every so often, about once a year, you'll have that one outlier card that comes out, and it's just $50, and you're like, ooh ah. And a lot of times, those cards are coveted, they're played, they're sought after, but they're not indomitable. But now, because of the culture of Magic the Gathering, it's formatted around people who exclusively buy those $50 cards for their decks as soon as they come out, and then lord over people who don't have them by dominating a format. It's made the format that was supposed to be fun and uh, to promote the quote unquote gathering aspect of Magic, because it was the first multiplayer format that existed besides Plane Chase and Arch Enemy. Those were
Well,
just disastrous.
well, that's the other component. I have a friend who still plays Magic, and they were talking about various things the other night. And one of those things was the idea of the different formats. And you know that somewhere in WotC, some shill is like, well, you don't have to play that format if you don't like it. There are other formats, as if to say it's not for you unless you can afford it. So it's your fault, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and that's always been the problem. See, in the beginning, there's always been something like that in Magic. WotC's always kind of leaned on their most expensive format. In the beginning, it was what we called Vintage, which is the format that Power is still played in, and then you have Legacy, which became the money grabber, and then for a while it was Modern, and they always kind of cajole to these formats because they're the ones that make money. And then when the interest in Commander popped off and people started seeing spikes in cards that just saw no play because of how they worked in the Commander format, Wizards dropped everything, including their support for FNM, Friday Night Standard Magic, which was 60 cards. And people used to bitch about 60 card Standard Magic being inaccessible at a couple of $100 a deck. So let's talk about how we've gone from 10 years ago when, let's see, 10 years ago, even longer than that, even 15 years ago, when things like Primeval Titan and Valakut, hell, it was probably even longer than that, were reigning supreme, and you had to buy $200 worth of cards to have a viable standard deck in the F&M space. So instead of answering that issue, they introduced what's called Commander, of a format that was fan created and judge created of Elder Dragon Highlander EDH. That's the game that we've played together. When they started supporting this format, it started out small as to once a year they would release a set of decks that were specifically curated to the EDH Commander format. And that was special. It was nice. It was a yearly release. It cost about $200 to buy everything that they put out for that format. Well, now it's gotten so out of hand that every set that comes out, every standard set, every modern set, every specialty set, has accompanying commander decks that come with it. So now instead of 4 decks at $200 a year, in order to stay current in the commander format, you're looking at upwards of $300 to $400 every few months. And a lot of people kind of dealt with this and hemmed and hawed around it and said, I'll buy the deck that I want most. And that worked for a while, but eventually they started creating commander decks all willy-nilly, and there were commander decks that had 3-card combos built into them, or commander decks that were printed with commander staples that you could only get if you spent $30. Well, that drew the secondary market to up the MSRP, and all of a sudden your commander deck that MSRPs for $49.99 is on the shelf with a $75, $80 price tag on it because of a card it includes. And it's been getting more and more and more out of hand ever since.
Well, this is the same reason that it's among the reasons I quit the Mind's Eye Society. And I know I've mentioned to Larry at least that I eventually left in disgust because of the cheating. But did I tell you guys about the domain meeting I went to in Seattle, Tacoma? This is relevant. I know it sounds like a weirdly niche thing. Have I ever mentioned that story?
I don't think so.
All right, so I will put aside my hunt for content for the show for the minute. So I was invited to a domain meeting because they're all supposed to be public. That was being held by the domain of Seattle, Tacoma, and it was online. So it's like, yeah, I don't have to go anywhere. I'll just go there. So I'm there, and what they're talking about was they're going to have to raise their site fee. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, the club at the time had just raised its regular fee. It used to be $20 to play anywhere in the world, anywhere there was a game, and the games were weekly. Right? And that was great. And then it had downgraded to a game a month wherever you were, and it was national. We had broken with the international affiliates, right? So anywhere in America, 1 game a month, anywhere you can find one. But they were then rising prices, and their argument was inflation. And I was like, guys, you're raising prices, but you've reduced the number of games, and you won't let people make more games. Either give us more games and raise prices, or find cost-cutting ventures to keep it the same, because we shouldn't be paying more for less. And then, of course, you have Seattle Tacoma were raising their site fee. So I said, hey, guys, I understand that you feel you have to pay for site, but the fact of the matter is that they're already raising prices for our club, and then you're raising prices for site fee, and then there are stealth fees associated that you're not thinking about. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, gas. Everybody's got to pay for gas. Then there's afters, right? Because after game, you go to a local eatery, you hang out for a while. No one's going to go there and just hang out. So that means you've got to buy a coffee or something, right? And it's like it might be $25 a year, but your $5 site fee now up to $10 site fee plus food plus gas, you're talking anywhere between $50 and $100 a month to go to your game, right? Do you have any plans to attend that for players that are less able to participate? Do you have some kind of duress system? Things that other clubs have, right? And they were like, no, why would we do that? And that's where I heard it. That's where I first heard the line, maybe we should be more exclusive. Their opinion of the idea that in a club that was hemorrhaging members and had just lost half of its membership because the organization had broken away, right, and was already bisected by regional disputes, right, was maybe we should kick those pores to the curb for the health of our club, which is, let me tell you, not doing well. It is a different context, but it is basically the same ultimate result.
In true devil's advocate fashion, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
But every hobby, whether it be, putting together scrapbooks or working on vintage cars, has a barrier of entry that is a price point. My whole argument is that the barrier to entry to Magic the Gathering in a time span of less than, let's say, 20 years has gone from a barrier to entry of $50 to a barrier to entry of over 1,500.
Right.
And that's just unsustainable. If you just want to be a collector set, stop making a game and just start printing the equivalent of sports cards with D&D characters on them and put chase cards on there. This card has actual dirt from Moria. This fucking, this card has leather from the ear of an orc. That's your,
right.
Your fucking niche. Do like baseball cards and football cards do, and just start putting out luxury product that has an arbitrary secondary market that people can fucking jizz over themselves on. If your goal is to make a game, it has to be accessible to people who have never played that game before. And the days of being able to enjoy Magic the Gathering by buying a product off the shelf and sitting down at a table with a group of people are gone. Now, I'm not saying that people can't come together with a box of old Magic cards and play a cube. That's never going away. And, for that, I do applaud the longevity of what was built by Richard Garfield. However, I do not believe this is the vision that he had when he sold the rights to Magic the Gathering to Wizards of the Coast. I believe what transpired in Magic the Gathering is the antithesis of what should, be expected of any trading card game, in that we no longer have an actual, entry level product for people.
Right. So,
in order to enjoy Commander, you have to buy a pre-con. That's $50. But then you're on the hook for $20 sleeves because you have to buy Dragon Shields. The rest of them are dog shit. So let's even go the cheap route and say, well, you don't know that, so you just buy whatever sleeves you see. So you're now at $60 for $10 sleeves. Well, then you're going to need dice for counters. So now you're another $15 in because the only dice anybody sells are Hexic dice. Or, you occasionally run into a shop that has the big fishbowl of loose dice. So let's just be generous again and say you get off on dice for $5, or you had some laying around from old tabletops you used to play. So you're still at $60 for your entry fee. But then you sit down at the table and notice everybody else has these play mats. Play mats another $20. Then you gotta have a deck box to hold your deck. Commander deck come with one, but they're cardboard. After a week in your fucking bag, that thing's toast. So you're out another $5-10, unless you get conned into buying one of the high end ones, which is most of what any shop still sells. And then just another $20. So now we're talking about $100 just to sit down at the table. $100 in today's economy, nobody's putting that on Magic cards if they've never played the game before.
No.
you're not gonna look at your friend who's never played this game and said, "Hey, you want to burn a $100 bill real quick?" and then say, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." But because that's essentially what they're doing. Because once they've bought all those cards and put them in sleeves and rolled out their shiny new playmat and shuffled up and drawn their first hand of cards, after the first rotation, when everybody's putting down Mox Opals, Ancient Tombs, Moats, fucking Gaia's Cradles, they're going to look around and go, well, I can't compete with this. And people are going to start listing off a litany of cards that can fit in your deck that'll make it better. And you're going to write this list down, and you're going to go home, and you're going to pull up Card Kingdom or TCG Player, and you're going to see $400 for a Gaia's Cradle. You're going to see $300 at minimum for a dual land for your deck. You're going to see $50 at minimum for a key combo piece. And you're going to look at this and go, I just spent $100. And now I got to spend another $1,000? And it's just... It's just not worth it. It's not something that I feel like I can encourage anyone to do anymore.
Then again,
that's kind of a hard realization for me, guys.
Oh, sure. But then again, people aren't making good psychological decisions anyway. If we want to transition to the link I put in the private, because I do have a couple of things tonight. We got about 10 minutes left or so.
Okay.
If you want to click on that, there,
One
Larry.
moment. Let me see what we got here. The James Gunn thing.
Yep.
Yeah, let's talk about that James Gunn thing briefly.
So, for anybody who isn't in the know, James Gunn's
hold up.
You're pulling it up. I'm just giving the context. James Gunn's doing a Superman movie, and
yay, crypto!
It's gonna have Crypto the Superdog, and people are talking about it.
Oh, I meant cryptocurrency. I don't give a shit about that movie.
I mean, sure. But I want to talk about this thing specifically that Larry's pulling up.
Yep. All right. Boop. Here we go. James Gunn says no one can tell Clark Kent is Superman because he wears hypno glasses. He pulled this idea directly from the comics, but it's worse than that. It's worse than that. As a kid, it bothered me. I don't have that much suspension of disbelief to believe that they're two different people, but Tom King said, there's an answer to that in the comics. They hypnotize people. So he drew an idea from Tom King.
Right. But it is older than Tom King.
Yes. And it was something that was not used frequently, even in the golden age of comics.
Right. It is. I'm not defending it. It is dumb. Okay. But what I find interesting about the discourse, which is why I'm bringing up the movie, is people are going, "This is dumb. Therefore, that movie is shit." And it's like, dude, that is an actual bit of Superman lore. You are basically saying you don't like this Superman movie because it's Superman. And then you're following it up by saying you want more cider slop. What the fuck do you people want?
Well, here's the thing. What was great was when an actual actor was playing Superman by the name of Christopher Reeves, who physically transformed by his performance using acting into Superman.
I know, it's the weirdest thing.
What if we had actors who did their acting?
I know.
I got something to sort of...
Didn't Henry Cavill go into Times Square with a pair of glasses on?
He did.
No one recognized him?
He did.
Yep.
It's 100% true. Wearing a Superman shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, we don't need hypno glasses. Henry Cavill literally did.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's one of two things. It's either A, people don't care what Gunn says. He could say, "I like waffles," and they will throw a fucking conniption fit because he didn't say he likes pancakes, right? Or James Gunn knew people were gonna flip out, so he said something stupid to generate interest. Okay.
No.
And the thing is that means people were dumb enough to walk into it.
Now, I got something else to share to take us home a little bit. Y'all remember Liver King?
Yeah.
Well, Liver King had a little oopsie doopsie. And let's start this video back from the beginning. Him being pulled into a police car by Austin's finest. Now you're saying to yourself, well, why was Liver King arrested?
Oh, that don't look so good.
Here's why Liver King got arrested.
Anything and everything. Because Joe Rogan, we don't have to make videos to pretend anymore. All of this is happening and coming to you. I've challenged you man to man to a fight. Honorable. And we don't have to pretend or make any videos. The world is watching. They'll make the videos for us. And you don't have to hold a camera. You can hold the hand of somebody that you love, because what happens next to you, you're going to need to remember that feeling. You're going to need something.
This man is 36 years old.
He is. But he's done a lot of steroids.
I was going to say, how much ketamine is he on?
This man is almost 2 years younger than me.
This is what happens when you have brain worms.
Is that why RFK and he look alike? Or is RFK's son?
This is RFK from an alternate timeline, I assume, who came back in time to try and warn us that we need to eat liver.
I mean, so he had to make it to fiefdom. He made a fiefdom in his timeline.
And testicles. Don't forget the testicles.
I mean,
Aaron, that's an important part.
He did approach the camera running around on all fours and sniffing the earth.
Like
that's some RFK shit.
That is.
So let's continue.
More than what you did.
Make you leave a dead deer in Central Park.
To give you something to fight for, because I have my family to fight for. And then I'll die for them, you know that. And you're a black belt, but you've never come across something like this. Willing to die, hoping that you'll choke me out. I pray to God, because that's a dream come true. It feels good. And then the limbs, I'm fighting for my family. So limb.
Yeah.
Notice his pupils are two different sizes.
Yes.
Quote, choke me out. I hope you choke me out. It feels
Look at his eyes. Look at his fucking eyes.
And I weigh 177 pounds. An actual savage. And so at first you're like, fuck that guy. And right when you all of a sudden he did get your attention, which I already did before this, you're saying, I'm gonna choke that motherfucker, that piece of fucking shit. I'm gonna choke him out. That's what warriors do. You and Andrew Tate are good warriors. But you're actually better than that. Real tension we have, comedy that you do is good and true. We have real tension, but what I see in you is comedy is good and true. Touch points. Well, people laugh if we don't make fun of them at their expense. They laugh. You should all make fun of me. You should all make fun of me at my expense. Trust me, that it still works, and then you should get paid for it. And let's go. Because we're leaving. We're going to Austin. What was my very last point?
That we're gonna kick Joe Rogan's ass?
The real G said it.
Oh my God! Look at his mouth.
My speech, Justin Fitz.
What the fuck is in his mouth? His teeth are blue.
Yeah. So Brian Johnson faces one charge of terrorist threats. Johnson was seen on all fours like a monkey in a video posted shortly before he traveled to Austin. Johnson said he was coming for Rogan and demanded that the two fight, according to Austin PD. Detectives contacted Mr. Rogan, who said he had never had any interaction with Johnson and considered the posts to be threatening. Liver King is famous for his primal diet, where he eats foods including liver and testicles, but recently admitted he takes, and not just a little bit of steroids, he takes all the steroids.
Okay. Well, I was going to talk about some tabletop stuff, but it's uninteresting and it has been buried under the flow of other things. So I instead wanted to share a last thing. Ayrton will appreciate this. I have a last thing for us to enjoy, because there is a way to appreciate titties without being pornographic.
What?
There is in fact a guide, and it is this.
I'm gonna take my socks off before we watch this.
I think that's a fair assessment there, Church.
I don't trust it. I'm taking my socks off.
Give me a second. screen.
I put a
In case
second
any
pair
gay
on.
I want to be prepared in case any gay shit happens. Can't be
Oh
caught
no,
slipping.
this is not gay. There is no gayness.
All right, hold up.
Holy fucking shit! Oh my god! I want to put my arm. Oh my god, I'm gonna vomit. Oh my god! Is that funny?
I'm getting nauseous just watching this.
I mean, they call them fun bags for a reason.
You know, if the airplanes on 9/11 had airbags like that, we wouldn't have had that tragedy.
You know, I think
Because I'm pretty sure breast milk can't burn hot enough to melt steel beams.
I think we need to end the show on that one, Aaron. So say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.